my review of King's X's first album, Out of the Silent Planet, today on Record Overload. Hi, my name's Tim, and welcome back to another episode of Record Overload. Today I'm going to be doing something a little different. I'm going to be doing a viewer request. Ann D. Salyer of the King's X Musical Appreciation Society Facebook page requested that she wanted 10 people to do a review of the first album that was put out by the band. That album is called Out of the Silent Planet. Now, I became aware of Out of the Silent Planet right after it was released back in 1988. I wasn't into the style of music that I was hearing out of it at the time, but I would hear it going through our dorms because I was in college. I was a sophomore in college, and I would be walking down the halls, and occasionally I'd hear it coming out of one of the dorm rooms. And I thought, okay, that's cool. A lot of people are getting into this band. I was doing the college radio station at the time. DJ worked like 3 times a week, I think, at the time. And so, of course, I heard a lot of rumblings about it in the radio station as well. I didn't really start to pay attention to it until my roommate Bill, who was into more heavy, darker speed metal, death metal, that kind of thing, brought it to our room and said he didn't really find it all that interesting because it's not the kind of stuff that he would listen to. So he gave his copy to me, and I popped it in for a listen. Out of the Silent Planet is the title of the first book in the Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis, which is one of my favorite authors of all time. You know, first impression, I have to admit, wasn't the best, but I did like the album artwork. The photo of the band intrigued me as well, because here you go, you got these 3 guys with big hair standing in front of the downtown skyline for Houston, Texas. And as you can tell from the album artwork, they are definitely a band out of Texas. From left to right, you have Jerry Gaskell, the drummer, Doug Pinnick with the mohawk and the jean jacket. He also plays the bass and is the lead singer of the band. And on the right, you have Ty Tabor, who plays the guitar and also sings lead with the band. Now here we go, we got a power trio coming out of Texas. Not the first one to do so, as we all know. Probably the most famous one to come out of Texas is ZZ Top. And do they play similar music? Yeah, they are kind of based in blues, but they have other influences as well. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down the album song by song, give you my impressions of each song, and my overall thoughts of the album as a whole. So starting out the album, you put it in, and you hear this really spacey kind of ethereal, kind of a opening that reminds you of the opening to 2112 from Rush. And that goes on and for about a minute and a half, and then you hear like a train building up speed, chug, 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 and then it hits you square in the face with the 4 opening chords of In the New Age, and then Ty and the guys start in full 3-part harmony to sing the verse. And 3-part harmony in a hard rock band such as King's X is not something I'd ever heard before, to be honest. It was quite interesting. And so it carries on, and then the chorus kicks in with Doug and his strong, soulful voice that just blew me out of the water. The first time I heard Doug's voice, I kind of got hooked on the band just right at that moment. The song itself wasn't all that great. I mean, yeah, the chorus had some interesting twists to it. Like every time they said In the New Age, they kind of distorted it and lowered it way, way, way down. And it just sounds like a growl from out of nowhere. And then, like I said, Doug's voice kicks in over it. And okay, so it was a song. You know, that was my impression. It was not something that really got my attention. That immediately changed on the second song. Second song is Goldilocks. It's one that's become a standard in their live shows from the day they released it. What Goldilocks is a power ballad about a person who is the secret admirer of someone he's afraid to let that person know that he exists, possibly, because the chorus is, I'd like to know your name and I must know who you are. So it sounds like he'd been watching this person and just is afraid to talk to him because, afraid to approach the person. It's something that's common for a lot of people. I know I've gone through it more than once for sure. The opening of the song is absolutely gorgeous. The opening lines of the song, I can't believe summer's almost here. I made it through another year, even if alone. But there's no tears in my eyes. Life is still full of surprise. I'm not looking for a one-night stand. And then the second verse kind of explains why he's afraid to talk to the person he's interested in. It goes, I look at you. I know who you are. You're just a little bit too far from my home. That explains the whole chorus as to why he's afraid to talk to this person, because he thinks that they're out of his league, to be honest, but he really wants to get to know them. And that song, like I said, immediately grabbed me. Or the solo on that song by Ty fits in perfectly. It immediately had me hooked. That's when I knew I had to hear more from the band. Next song up is The Power of Love, which is a nice little mid-tempo, just straight ahead forward rock song. The lyrics start out, trapped inside these walls surround me, closing in, it's hard to breathe. But then the chorus changes the tone of the song altogether. The chorus goes, the power of love takes me from here, and so on. And it's just basically a song of hope. And that's kind of where most of the songs go on this album, is there are songs of being trapped in the dark and telling people that, hey, there's light at the end of the tunnel. This is like the first of many of those. And that one just has this smooth jam that I absolutely love at the very end of it, where Ty gets to show off some of his guitar skills in a major way. And it's really hooky at the end and really good, and it kept me listening on the album. So that's two songs that I really, really liked on the album. Next up is the song Wonder. Wonder has lines in it that go something to the effect of, this is war, this is peace, a quiet roar, a silent scream, it makes me think, it makes me deal with the situation, how do I feel? And then the chorus questions, okay, what should I do in these situations? Should I go to the front? Should I go to the back? Should I just pray or should I attack? It's okay. It wasn't my favorite at first, but it grew on me over time. Next up on the album is the song Sometimes, not to be confused with a later song on Ear Candy called Sometime. Sometimes is actually kind of reminds me a little bit of Turn, Turn, Turn by the Byrds, because basically it says, sometimes I do this, sometimes I do that, sometimes I do this, sometimes I do that. Those aren't the exact words, I'm just paraphrasing. This is the one that has the chorus that made everybody think that these guys were a straight-up Christian band. This is the one that had the words, I stand here crying, the world is laughing. I stand surrounded, yet I see the light. I stand here waiting for New Jerusalem. I know it's greater than the world outside. That has so many Christian overtones to it. So that kind of put them in a situation to where they were pigeonholed as a Christian band. There are many, many songs on this album that kind of make those references as well, which is actually kind of selling them short because they did a lot of other types of songs. Sometimes was really good as well, at least in my eyes, and so I kept listening. Next song up, King. The verses start out, you are the one who causes me pain, you are the one who causes me grief, you are the one who lied to me, it won't be long, soon you will see, and then the chorus kicks in with simple King is coming, and that's it, over and over and over. King is coming, yeah, 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 yeah. King is a straight-ahead rocker that had me hooked. The next song is What Is This? And it's another good mid-tempo song. The chorus is, what is this that lights my way in the hours of the day, makes me run to you? The next one is Far, Far Away, which is another slower song, kind of. It's another mid-tempo song. And it's not in the same line as most of the others. It's more along the lines of Goldilocks, except in this case, it's more a breakup song, or at least so it seems, because in the opening verse, here you have Doug singing about driving in his car, thinking about his past with this person, and then the chorus kicks in, she was lost yesterday, far, far away. Okay, so it sounds like she left him. A bit of a sad song, but it's an upbeat sad song. It's got a nice little groove to it. The next one, Shot of Love, is the chorus, is send us a shot of love, across the mountains to the sea, from the poles of north and south, wherever we may be. A lot of times on these songs, they were playing it safe because they just wanted to get something out there that let people know, hey, this is who we are, this is what we sound like. And the album closes with the song Visions. It starts out as a really, really slow, kind of funeral marchy kind of song, to be honest. But what changes up is after they get past the first chorus on Visions, Ty kicks in and everything ramps up to super frenetic speed, and they just seem like they break out into an impromptu jam. And it's a brilliant little bit of the song. If you were to listen to the independent record that they put out prior to that album, but that album sounded completely different than Out of the Silent Planet. Out of the Silent Planet had a much heavier, much darker overtone to it, but it was enough to keep me interested and keep me want to see what they were capable of next. Let's just say on the next album, I was blown away, but I'm going to save that for another time. Now, my overall impression of Out of the Silent Planet as a whole is, at the time in the late 80s, we were dominated by synthesizers, power pop, and hair metal. This was straight ahead hard rock. Ty used droning open strings throughout the entire album, where he would play one note and let it drone through as he's playing the rest of the notes on the guitar. If I were to describe King's X sound, it would be that droning open string, that on top of Doug's vocals, just they mesh perfectly. It's not a perfect album by any stretch, but it is a good introductory album for the band, just to let you know exactly what they're going to sound like from here on out. Doug was 38 years old. Most people, if they have not made it in the music industry already, had long since hung up their hats and called it a day. But they just kept going until they got it. A lot of other bands actually kind of gives a nod to them for creating what would later, in a few years later in the 90s, like 91, 92, 93, would become the sound of the grunge movement out in the Northwest. Yeah, I can see where they would get it from. Most likely, you've never heard of them, but you should. They're going on, like I said, 33 years of major releases. They have a new album scheduled to come out sometime this year. Would I recommend this album? I would save Out of the Silent Planet for probably the third or fourth album that you listen to by the band. If I were to rank it in the catalog of King's X albums, I would probably put it in 6th or 7th spot. And I know I'm going to get a lot of blowback on that particular ranking. But again, this is my opinion and my opinion only on this particular record. Do I suggest you listen to King's X? Of course I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking about them or wearing this shirt. They've become one of my favorite bands over time. So that is my take on Out of the Silent Planet by King's X. If you like what you've seen and you want to see more, please click on that subscribe button and the little bell notification down in the corner to be notified when I put out new videos, which admittedly isn't as often as I'd like because things in real life happen, and so I have to build my release schedule around my real life. And I will see you next time on Record Overload.